joining us
Very good.
today.
Thank you.
In the last session that we did, we were talking a lot about the audit tax, and it's been my experience that companies, the first reaction, and of course with anyone, I think if you say audit and tax in the same sentence, it's conjures up a lot of negative perceptions. And in general, in my conversations with companies out there, it's a burden. It's viewed more as a pain. And I wanted to ask a question to start our talk today. Does it have to be viewed in a negative way? Is there a different point of view that we can take when we are addressing the compliance and audit requirements? And I guess, Brandon, I'll ask you to maybe start out.
Yeah, so we've done some interesting research in the last probably 12 months, I guess you could say, around that very question. There is a lot of negativity in this space, and Professor Robert Byrd at University of Connecticut actually authored a very interesting paper that we've attached to and extended a bit of his research around leveraging the legal environment that you're cast in to obtain what Michael Porter refers to as true sustainable competitive advantage. I think in looking at the audit cycle in that light, there are some fantastic opportunities to be had.
So you're actually saying that instead of viewing this as I have to do it and this is costing me money, it's costing me pain, that maybe if I take a different point of view, I could actually turn that into a competitive advantage for my company. Is that what I hear you saying?
Absolutely correct.
Jeff, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's like anything, making trying to take what's considered a bad situation and make it good. There's actually a lot of benefits to becoming compliant and getting your your technology house in order, so to speak. So once you achieve that level of compliance and on an ongoing basis, you're able to check and assess how you're doing from a compliance perspective. There's a lot of benefits to be had. You're more secure. You can anticipate the audits that are coming up. You're going to be more efficient in your processes and so on, because the audits aren't going away. They're here to stay, and you might as well figure out a way to make the best of it. And there are definitely ways that you can use technology and enhance the process and actually achieve a degree of ROI around it.
So if I wanted to embark on this journey on trying to make, I guess, my entire IT process driving value to my company's bottom line and through better compliance, what would be some of the first steps that I would want to take here?
Well, a great example that Byrd cites in his paper is that with Sarbanes-Oxley, a lot of companies have grown through M&A activity, quite frankly, and they've got multiple disparate systems, for example, around ERP, cast throughout their organizations. And while it's going to cost you money to consolidate those ERP systems into one system for the entire organization, some leading companies have chosen to do that and to embark on those projects and spend that capital simply because the fact that it reduces the footprint of systems under your Sarbanes-Oxley scope. So you're immediately going to find some savings on the audit cycle there, from the data collection, from having to field multiple audit requests to disparate parts of your organization.
So that already is helping me reduce some cost structure.
Absolutely, absolutely, and kind of putting things in one place. So you're not running all over the organization trying to tease out all those little details. Phenomenal first step.
And Brandon, it's easier said than done, though, right? I mean, it's easy to say when you merge two companies together, hey, we're going to combine all those processes. But I think it's important to point out that sometimes it's a very difficult process to pull two CRM systems together and become compliant.
It does take a level of sophistication in IT, but I think that also speaks to the overall goal here, which is to engage the various parts of the business and look for those opportunities together. This is not internal audit operating independently of security, operating independently of IT. All parties, I think, need to come to the table and have discussions and seek out opportunities and determine if they're reasonable, if they're going to be cost effective, and what the long-term, as you said, ROI is going to be on that initiative.
So I think that's an interesting point. I think in many organizations today, we have a very siloed structure in place, especially in the IT environment. I've got my operations in this corner of the room. I have my IT security people in that part of the room. Don't we have to have some integration within IT in order to be able to realize these types of advantages, or at least to begin that journey?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the economic situation and how companies are operating, you're seeing a convergence of IT and operations and security coming together. Sometimes it's deliberate, and sometimes it's out of just sheer survival, being able to make efficient use of your assets, your employees, and your resources. And as these regulations continue to bear down on companies, they've got to figure out ways to be more efficient and work more closely together. So I think over time what you're going to see is companies trying to streamline these processes and work together cross-departmentally to achieve their compliance goals.
And there's some natural friction that's going to occur there. I mean, there's always some degree of rivalry, right, between project-oriented IT shops versus kind of the production steady-state stuff. One of the interesting things that, and I think it's a true luxury as a security practitioner, and having done this for a number of years, I think this is a phenomenal opportunity for us, is that security has a lot of hooks and a lot of different pieces of, shall we say, telemetry about IT operations and business functions. And I think that played properly, by consolidating a lot of this information, for example, during the audit cycle or through their ongoing monitoring and observations, that they can actually be a very pivotal role in this consolidation and this cross-pollination because they've got the visibility. They become a very critical data broker to having some of those critical discussions and teasing out some of those opportunities just simply because of the volume of data that they have. And if you start to look at things like capacity planning and performance improvement in the IT space, a lot of what we've traditionally gathered is security metrics and security data points to support audit or ongoing operations and things of that nature can be very valuable if turned around and used into different areas of the organization.
So this has always been, I think, an area of a challenge, and especially within this siloed structure that may exist in many companies to a day, is how does the IT security professional actually get a seat at the dinner table? And in fact, how does IT in general, become part of that value creation process versus being viewed as a expense area?
We've always had that struggle. As I said, I've done this for a number of years, going on 15 years in the security space now myself, and I myself
a long time, Brandon.
got the gray hair to prove it. No, I think it's always been a struggle that we've had. Our roles have been elevated in recent times, predominantly because of the compliance and cost equations associated with that. But I think the number one step in actually becoming a valid business contributor is to start to think like a business and stop thinking necessarily that we are a cost sink, that it is the cost of doing business. Flip that around. Look at how we can, as I said before, add value back to the organization by providing valuable data, by being a source of insights for the business and being an enabler in that capacity, as opposed to coming out with our mythical letterhead stamped no to begin with.